Blog Talk Radio. The following broadcast is brought to you by the iGolf Sports Network. The Women of Golf show is sponsored by the iGolf Sports Network and Golf Tips magazine. Here's more about our sponsors. iGolf Sports is a live stream broadcast and media production company providing quality programming designed to attract the golfing enthusiast. And Golf Tips, the game's most in-depth instruction magazine, including reviews on the latest equipment, tips from top teaching professionals, all designed to help you improve from tee to green. Good morning. Welcome to the Women of Golf, the #1 women's golf show around the world, with hosts Ted Odorico and Cindy Miller. Join them as they interview some of the best players from the Symetra, LPGA, and Legends Tour, and so many others, helping to elevate women's golf. So without further ado, here are your hosts, Ted and Cindy.
All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Women of Golf. I'm Ted Odorico, and unfortunately, Cindy's not with us this morning. She is out there raising money for one of the local hospitals in Buffalo, New York. So we want to wish her much success and good luck with that. So she won't be joining me this morning, but she will be back next week, of course. Got a great show for you this morning. Very, very excited. Got a couple of great guests that are going to be coming on here in just a moment. I'm going to introduce the first one here in just a minute. But I want to remind everybody, of course, we are live every Tuesday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern here on the blogtalkradio.com network. Best way to find us is go to blogtalkradio.com/Women of Golf. And as I said, we're always live every Tuesday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern. If you can't join us live, not to worry. Just visit that link a little bit later on. Scroll down to the on-demand section, and you can check us out there in the recorded version. And not only today's show, but all of the other previously aired shows as well. And we're also on Morning Read. You can check us out there as well. So glad you could join us. And I'm going to introduce this morning's first guest, and we'll begin our discussion. My first guest is Savannah Vilaubi. She is a golf professional whose accomplishments including winning the 2016 Texas Women's Open as well as the 2019 again. She began playing golf when she was 8 years old and attended the University of California in Riverside. She's also worked very closely with the Women with Drive organization, which created to help promote women's golf. And this past weekend, she was finished tied for second in the Mission Inn Resort and Club Championship. So please welcome my first very special guest this morning, Savannah Vilaubi. Good morning, Savannah.
Good morning, Ted. Thanks so much for having me on today. I'm excited.
I'm glad to have you on. I appreciate you taking time this morning. So we were talking off air just a moment ago, and I was asking you about the Symetra Tour's schedule. You're on break this week from Symetra. I know they just finished this past weekend was the third event in a row, but you're playing somewhere else. Where are you playing this week?
Yeah, so the Symetra does have an off week, but I'm with the Colorado State Open. So I just got to Denver yesterday morning, and I haven't been here in a few years now, but looking forward to taking it up tomorrow.
Well, very good. And we're going to talk a little bit about this past weekend's event, because you actually had, despite coming in as runner-up, you actually had a really, really good event. According to you, you felt that you really played well, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But I want to talk about, because you started playing golf very, very young, roughly around 8 years old. Who introduced you to the game? And give us an idea of when you felt, hey, this is something that I want to do.
Right. So my first lesson was about 7 or 8 years old. My brother and I got started at our home course, Real Hondo in Downey, California. So golf is just one of the sports that we tried growing up. So my parents are huge proponents of just like, yeah, try whatever sport, hobby you want to get into, and, we're here to support you. So it started with baseball, t-ball, all that stuff, and, amongst your soccer and tennis and track and volleyball, golf was one of them. So I seemed to take a liking to that, and the hand-eye coordination, I think, was there pretty early just because of the baseball, t-ball background. So it was a pretty fun transition. So I got serious about it in high school, and then set my goals to play in college, where I earned a scholarship at UC Riverside, like you had said. And the coach that I had my senior year there, Mary Ritchie, was just a tremendous influence in my life, but especially for golf. And she gave me the push to really go pro. She kind of told me what that was going to look like and what to expect. So all growing up, it didn't matter what I tried. I just wanted to go pro, like whatever it was. Like if it was baseball, I was like, I'm going to be the first pitcher in the MLB, first female pitcher there. Whatever it was, like, for a while I was into drawing, and I wanted to be an artist, and that kind of my parents a little bit, but golf was something that I took a natural liking to. The ability seemed to be there, and after high school, my parents and I kind of decided that this was probably the sport with the most longevity. So I was fortunate enough to meet some really fantastic people in college, Mary Ritchie being one of them, and then decided to turn pro after graduating. So since then, I've played on a lot of different tours, and Symetra has been one of the special ones. Obviously, this is the path that we want to get to the LPGA, but no 2 years have really looked the same.
No.
But that in turn, I'm grateful for that too. But that's kind of been the journey, starting from 8 years old.
Do you think? I mean, because golf is, and this, really better than anyone, golf is a hard game. It's not like many of the other sports that you can pick up pretty easy. It presents its challenge. So for you to pick that as a sort of a career choice says a lot about your integrity, because it's not an easy sport. I mean, you could have, like you said, you could have been an artist, you could have done anything, and not saying that there aren't challenges there, but golf is extremely hard, as most people know. Was there something inside of you growing up that really gravitated to those challenges, that said, you know what, I don't care how difficult this is, I'm going to master it, or I'm going to do my best at it? Was there sort of a driving force within you that said, I don't care how tough this is, I'm going to give it my best, and whatever happens, happens?
Right. Yes, but I think I was kind of a little ignorant to the process of what it really looked like to make golf a career. So, like I said, whatever I did, I just wanted to turn pro. It all sounded good.
Right.
But when you break it down, there's a lot of things that you have to figure out first. And with golf, it makes you answer really tough questions about yourself. And the beautiful thing about it, and maybe the double-edged sword, is that you don't always have someone with golf. You don't have really teammates. Granted, you have national teams and stuff, but you don't really have that teammate or that coach that's just going to be in your ear and just holding you accountable for practice. It's you and your goals and your strategy. And it's up to you to decide what works and what doesn't, and then to go back to the drawing board and just continually improve. So over the last few years, I've been really fortunate to have a fantastic team of mental coaches, my swing coach, my trainer, and just my family and boyfriend, just who have been tremendous influences for me. And they're the people that hold me accountable, who I can bounce ideas off of. And so at this point in my career, I'm lucky to feel like it's a collaborative effort. But at the end of the day, you do have to be your most authentic self in order to play this sport. You can't get by on anybody else's results, but what's great is that you don't have to lose a game just because your teammate doesn't feel like playing their best that day. So I think there's a lot of freedom in that.
Yeah, it is. It's an individual sport, and again, there are some a few team moments within a golfer's career, whether it be playing on a Solheim Cup or something in that event. But essentially, you are accountable to yourself. And unlike many other sports where you do have teammates to rely on, or if you're not playing your best one day, they can kind of help pick your end up a little bit, or vice versa. But in golf, it's you and the elements that are out there, and if you're not playing your best, it affects you and you only. So let me ask you, what was the biggest shock? So you turned pro, and you mentioned, there was a lot of things unexpected. What was what was the biggest shock, I guess, when you turned pro and you got out there and realized, What was the sort of I didn't expect this moment for you?
So my rookie season on Symetra was 2017, and it always felt like I was behind the eight ball there with even coming down to travel arrangements. Like, for whatever reason, it just took me a while to get a hold of the host housing thing, or just simply making an itinerary for myself. It was a very reactive kind of year, so I wasn't in a place mentally or like logistically to create.
Right.
It was all very much a reaction to the next thing and the next thing. So that was the biggest change, I think. So between college golf and professional golf, in college you have a team of people. You have a whole village that are making sure you are where you are at the appropriate time. But I didn't practice that enough going into my Symetra season, my rookie year. So that was the biggest struggle. And when you feel like you're just playing catch up the whole season, it's really hard to play your best because you're constantly reacting to these things that you didn't anticipate, that you didn't plan for. So we can just chalk that up to maybe just a lack of experience, but a lack of decision and planning. So in that process, I've definitely learned that with discipline and planning comes more freedom. So when you plan ahead, you know that certain things aren't going to be a distraction for you. When you decide, even when it comes to training and your diet, like if you simply decide that you're going to allot this time or you're going to eat a certain way, you know simply that other things aren't allowed in your space to distract you. So with that, you're able to create, and in the space of golf, that's obviously the most important thing, instead of just reacting to the next thing that was unforeseen. So I'm kind of forgetting what the original question. Oh, that was the biggest struggle. That was the biggest struggle. I was constantly just reacting to this new environment in every way possible. So that was a tough one for me there.
Well, you know what? If it's any comfort to you, Savannah, virtually every young lady that we've interviewed off of Symetra or even the LPGA have said the exact same thing. Their rookie year. It's a shock, really, because you don't know what to expect. You know, you're focusing on, doing your best, bringing your best out there, out in the golf course. You're not thinking about all these other little nuances and little twists and turns that actually get you to the golf course. So it can be a little bit overwhelming, especially for somebody, again, you're coming out of a collegiate environment where you have a support team there and they're planning and doing a lot of things for you. Now all of a sudden you're the planning, you're the team, so to speak, and suddenly it falls on your shoulder. Yeah, exactly. You're it. It's me. So not only you balance and keep up with your golf game, but you got to do, you've got to be the event planner. You've got to be get your meals organized, what you're going to do, what you're going to eat.
Right. This is my bedtime.
And that's something right. This is, and, as much as you'd love to stay up late and listen to some music or watch a great movie, you got to get up for an early, tea time, and you got to be well rested. So there's a lot of factors involved. What do you say to yourself? And again, we've Cindy and I, of course, I wish she was here today because I know she'd have a lot of good questions as well. But we've interviewed a lot of great young and up-and-coming professionals, as I said, both with the Symetra and the LPGA. And one of the things they've all had a moment throughout their career, and I don't like to use the word slump. Everybody uses this terminology in golf as, in the slump. But everybody has weeks or moments where they're not really playing their best, and they're kind of – and some of them have gotten to the point where they've even said, I don't think I can do this anymore. I want to quit. Yeah. Number one, did you ever get to that point? Did you ever have that feeling? And if so, what did you say to yourself? What mentally did you say to yourself to sort of turn things around?
So to be honest, that question has probably surfaced, or that wonder has probably surfaced a couple times a year, every year. Just like, is this it? Like, is this really it for me? Like, am I really going to be able to do this? The darkest part, probably the most often I entertained that question was 2018 or 19, just going through some, it was just tough because I didn't create habits that served me. And then I was wondering why I was golfing so poorly and not making cuts and wasn't where I wanted to be. So what I've learned from that is in any moment that I question, like, is golf really it? Like, am I on the right path? Can I do this? That's the time that you have to look at your habits. And this year, I realized that, yes, the goal is to play on the LPGA. Yes, the goal is to be the best and win tournaments. But I did not, if I was thoroughly honest with myself, I did not have habits that matched those goals. And so a quote from Urban Meyer, something that he asked his players, it says, look, you can lie to everybody, just don't lie to yourself. And if you have set a goal for yourself, take a look at that and then take a look at your habits. And then when you compare those things, you're either going to have to change your habits or change your goals. But one of them has to change. There has to be congruency there. So this year for me, if there was any doubt as to whether I could continue to play golf, I simply had to look at my habits. Because if I'm asking myself that question, I'm not playing my best. And then it gets simple from there. You can be objective about that. Well, why aren't you? And I think just the pursuit of that authentic self, that professional athlete that I want to be, it helps me align my habits. And, fortunately this week it was inspiring to see the results follow. So to your question of a slump, like, yeah, I haven't had the results that I wanted this year really prior to this tournament. And there were a lot of difficult questions that I had to ask myself, and you have to be brutally honest because you can lie to everybody, just not yourself. And with that, it was like, man, I'm not exactly the person that I want to be. I'm not the person that I want to be in God. I don't know if you have faith, but to me that was something that I learned was just incredibly powerful. Like, who am I in Christ? Is golf the vessel that He has intended for me to use to make the world better, to make myself better? And to make sure that answer was yes, I had to create habits that served me. And with that, it's having the discipline to say no to certain distractions, however light they may be. And if you're really in a slump and can't figure it out, then that's maybe it's time to even just look into simple things of, like, whether it's diet or really being more strict about a bedtime or rest or training and stuff like that. So those little efforts add up, and eventually they're all going to come to a point where they work synergistically. And then that's when you get some really great results with your profession. And that goes for anything, not just golf, but for me, in any time where I've questioned, like earlier this year, like, hey, is golf it? Like, am I really happy doing this? All I did was look at my habits and then adjust them accordingly.
Just on a side note, God has holed more putts than anybody, so faith is extremely important. So just keep that in mind when you're out there. I couldn't agree more. So just keep saying that to yourself when you're standing over, that long putt. Just say, God has holed more putts. So put your faith in Him, and that's a great thing to carry with you. And faith is, believe it or not, again, I understand everybody is different, but faith is, I'm a firm believer as well. So I agree. So here's something I want to mention to you, and you could kind of take it as advice, or you can kind of just what some of your other fellow pros have said based on a similar question put to them. And we had a number of, not last year, I mean, we interview every year the winners and runners-up and so on and so forth, but one season, I think it was 2 seasons ago, we had about 5 guests in a row that had won the event. And what was really interesting is every single one, it was their first event, and they all said the same thing verbatim, what I'm about to tell you. And they said one of the problems that they had was they were out there grinding, they were focusing on this, they were really just mentally draining themselves. And they said the one thing that they forgot to do was to have fun. And what was really interesting, Savannah, and this is why I'm telling you this, as soon as they changed their mindset, now that doesn't mean they stopped working and they didn't get out and practice and they didn't get out there and sharpen their mental game. But when they started to go out and recognize that, you know what, I just need to be out here and have fun. This is what I'm here for. I need to enjoy it. And they were all at the same crossroads as you've experienced, where you're not playing your best, you're questioning whether you should be there. The interesting thing was those 5 women, every single one went out and won the very next event. Every single one of them.
That's fantastic.
So,
I love that.
So what I'm saying to you is, you know, there are always going to be moments in life, whether it's as a golf professional or you know, whatever it is that you decide to do moving forward, if this ends up not being something you want to do, you know, for a lifetime, there are always going to be ups and downs. But you have to have fun. You have to enjoy. It's nothing worse than doing a job that you hate. And I know you don't hate golf, but you know what I mean? Or you feel like you're overwhelmed because you're just beating yourself out there every week. So just remember, starting with this week, go out and just have fun. You've got the game. If you didn't have the game, you wouldn't be where you are right now. So don't worry about mechanics. Don't worry about, I've got to sink this putt. Go out there, have fun, you know, smell the flowers, listen to the birds, whatever it is that gives you comfort and peace out there, and just play your game. Don't worry about anybody else, but play your game, but most importantly, have fun.
I love that. I love that, Ted. Thank you. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
That's so important. I agree with that.
Well, I think a lot of people get caught up with the mechanics of the swing, or they get caught up in the moment of, I've got to win this event, or I've got to win an event, I've got to get in the top 10. All of that stuff is irrelevant if you're not enjoying yourself, because if that's your pursuit, then what ends up happening is, like you said, you're taking your, you know, obviously you have goals, and those may be some of the goals. That's okay. But if your main focus is all of that all the time, you're going to get to a point where you're going to resent the game. You're not going to enjoy it. And then when things don't go your way, the frustration level just increases. So just remember to go out each and every week and have fun. Laugh at yourself. You miss a putt, and even if it costs you the tournament, laugh about it. It's a game.
I love that. You know, I mean, I might need practice doing that. Objectively, it sounds good on paper, but you know, but that I understand the point there, and it is very important. You got to remember there is a beautiful life to live outside of golf.
That's right. And again, I don't mean to distract and not pay attention to the other important stuff. Of course, you've got to do that. But this is what these young ladies had told us on the show here when they came on, and it was amazing because it was really interesting because, I mean, literally verbatim, they all said the same thing. All right, I want to get to the tournament here. You did play, I mean, you know, it is what it is. You got to get out there and enjoy it. So here was something that was really interesting, and I want to read what you had said. These were some notes that were passed along. You said, I was really hoping for the last putt there, but it was a stress-free par, which was nice to end on. I'm so excited this week. It finally felt like the mental and physical game showed up at the same time.
Yes.
Explain that a little bit.
Yes.
What happened this week that hasn't been happening maybe some of the weeks leading up, or even the last season?
Absolutely. So I'll also throw in the cross of spirituality there. So the spiritual, mental, and physical all seem to intersect this week, and I knew it was just going to be a matter of time. So in the past, like it in the past, and then even in the recent weeks, like you feel like you can make you have mental victories along the way. So say one tournament you really did well in being objective about things, but maybe the swing wasn't there, the ball striking wasn't there, putts weren't dropping, or whatever. So the physical game may not have been what you wanted it to be or what you had hoped, but the mental game was there. So the attitude was good. And another week, maybe your attitude wasn't the best and your aptitude was better. So maybe you're hitting the ball great, but your mental was maybe preventing you from really sealing the deal there. So I felt like I was making progress in each of those areas, especially spirituality, the last couple of weeks. And I knew that my work ethic was one that was going to reward me with good results. And finally it happened. So there was a lot of trust in what I was doing. There was a lot of trust in the process. And this week I had the aptitude and the attitude, and it came together, and it, gave me a run at winning the event. So just looking to build off that. And, I did look at what worked, and hoping to bring that into this week and for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think it's, it's so important. And, the truth of the matter is all cylinders are not going to fire at the same time every time.
Yeah.
Tiger Woods is a perfect example. I mean, I don't know how many times I've heard him, and it used to drive me nuts. I feel like putting my foot through the television. But he would, he'd win a tournament. He'd win a tournament by, oodles of strokes. And he'd say something to the effect, well, you know what? I wasn't playing my A game today, but I'm happy with the result. And I'm like, what? You just blew the field by 12 strokes, and you didn't play your A game? What would? I mean, I was scared to see what his A game would have been. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
exactly. Absolutely.
So, listen, I'll take your C game, Tiger. I don't care. I mean, if you're winning, you're winning tournaments. But so something else I noticed too. I was, I always like to do a little bit of research on some of the guests and that. And I came across the video where you said that you prefer to fly to the events as opposed to, hopping in the car and driving around to different. Is that just a personal preference, or is it just to get you there a little bit quicker, or is that even true?
Yeah, I think that was a couple years ago, or maybe not. It just depends. I mean, I don't really want to sit in the car for 12 hours. I'll make like a 9-hour trip or whatever, but yeah, I mean, I don't really have an issue with caravanning. I was just traveling with a friend of mine, Sarah White, the last couple events, and those are pretty good chunks of road trips and all that. So that's fine. But I mean, I like to drive. I like to fly. It's really, it doesn't really make a difference until I have to sit in the car for 15 hours. So that's when I'm like,
right.
Yeah, exactly. But getting to a tournament site as efficiently and rested as possible, it can only work in our benefit, but we can't ignore that we're kind of at the level of playing AAA golf here. So cost is a factor, expenses are factors,
sure.
And if you can do something to minimize those, then all the better. Then you just do what serves you at that point.
I agree. I think whatever's the most efficient, I think, is always the best. What do you consider the best part of your game, and what gives you what do you struggle with at times with the most? What's your best part, and what areas do you struggle most with when they're not working well?
So kind of a double-edged sword here. Driver, I absolutely love this club, but it has definitely put me in positions to win for sure. But I have also missed cuts, on 18 because I rip a driver OB right. That's right. It's not a story that I wish to repeat, but the driver has kind of been the downfall in the past, although I have pretty good distance off the tee. But this week I was really channeling one, just a single swing thought that kind of set the driver and everything else online. So as a strong point in my games, it was definitely ball striking this week. I still average, I think, 31 putts for the event, but I was hitting a lot more greens than I have in the past. So at a point, putts are going to fall, especially from that 20-foot distance. I feel like when you have a really good tournament, it's when you can get a couple of those 20-footers to fall. Granted, you're going to want to make the 5-footers for birdie or for up and downs, but those 20-footers make a difference. But for me, getting to the green was a big deal. So I got some new Titleist irons just a few weeks ago, and this was their second tournament with me. So when I have equipment that I feel is working to my benefit. So I'm still definitely in the honeymoon phases of these clubs now. And I think it just showed up in the ball striking stat this week. So right now I would say ball striking is pretty great.
Well, those new Titleist irons are either going to stand with you in the winner's circle, or they're going to end at the bottom of the pond, one of the two. So hopefully they'll be in the winner's circle with you. Well, listen,
they'll be
Savannah,
with me. Yeah.
I'm sure they will. Well, listen, good luck this week, and good luck the rest of the season.
Leave in the lake.
Oh, I know. Yeah, trust me, I know. But listen, good luck this week, and good luck the rest of the season on Symetra. And I have no doubt that you'll be joining certainly me and Cindy again. I think this season. I see a win coming up real soon. So, but just remember what
you're not the only one who feels it.
I'm sending some positive vibes your way, and I'm praying for you. But you know what? Just remember what I said earlier. Go out and have fun. Most important thing. Work hard. Do all of the stuff that you need to do that you've been doing for years. But just remember to go out and have fun. And I have no doubt you'll be in the winner's circle real soon again.
Thank you. Thank you, Ted. Thank you. I appreciate your time here today. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for joining me. Have a great tournament this week.
Sure thing. Thanks so much. We'll talk soon.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. It was my very special guest from Symetra Tour, Savannah Vilaubi, out there playing another event, not a Symetra event, but a different event, but finished runner-up this past week at the Mission Inn Resort and Club Championship. Great event, finished tied for second, but as she said, everything was sort of firing on all cylinders, so she's happy overall with her game. So I have no doubt, very positive young lady, great upbeat attitude, and I think she'll do well. All right, I'm going to take a very quick break, and then I'll be back with Kelly McAnally. Join me here in just a moment. Here's a quick message from Golf Tips Magazine.
The following ad is sponsored by Golf Tips Magazine.
Are you tired of being short off the tee? And what about those 3 putts? Forget about it. It's time you got serious about your game. Golf Tips, the most in-depth magazine in the industry. For over 30 years, Golf Tips has delivered expert content such as the latest golf instruction from America's top pros, simple to follow practice and game improvement drills, fitness and mental game tips, equipment, training aids, accessory and apparel reviews, golf destinations and travel tips for every budget, and so much more. Don't miss a single issue. Go to golftipsmag.com and subscribe today.
All right, I'm going to be joined here by my next guest, Kelly McAnally. She is the Chief Operating Officer for the First Tee in Richmond, Virginia. She leads the organization day-to-day operations, including strategic planning, facility management, operational personnel oversight, and vendor relationships. In addition, she is responsible for driving facility patronage and seeking creative and innovative revenue opportunities and partnerships. And before joining the team in March of 2018, she worked for IMG, where she served as tournament director for a number of LPGA events, including her last stop was in Green Bay for the Thornberry Creek LPGA Classic. So please welcome our second guest this morning, Kelly McAnally. Good morning, Kelly. How are you?
Good morning, Ted. How are you?
I'm doing very well. So let me ask you, I don't know how much of the last conversation, if you were listening or not, but one of the things that I think as golfers we forget, because we get so caught up in the mechanics and everything like that, is to have fun. Do you agree with that? Do you think sometimes we forget that? And is that something, particularly at the First Tee, and we'll talk about more specifics here in a moment, that you really try to instill in the First Tee programs, is to, make sure you're having fun?
Absolutely. And I think about, my time playing golf at Longwood University, and I think about now, like, where I don't have so much pressure on myself and have kind of lower expectations since I don't get to practice as much as I used to. But I have so much more fun with it in that capacity. And I think with the First Tee, we certainly, try to instill that in our kids through, our seamless curriculum where they're playing fun games, certainly using different skills from golf to accomplish that. But, when you're hearing them laughing and you're hearing them having a good time, that's all you can ask for, and that's what it's all about.
Well, golf is challenging enough. Let's be honest. It can be a very, very difficult game for some. Some it comes a little bit more naturally, easier, but for the most part, it's challenging for the better. I would say the 99.9% of the population. So adding more pressure and ramping up that difficulty meter, if you will. by not having fun and just going out and sometimes laughing at yourself. You hit a bad shot, you hit a bad shot. That's just one shot. You've got, I'm sure, many more, hopefully not too many more, in your round. So, the next shot is really what counts. And I think sometimes people get caught up and get frustrated and end up, going down a different path because they're just not, they don't feel they're playing their best. And there's a lot of factors that are involved there. But so I want to move on to the first tee, where you are, and particularly about the renovations at Belmont. I know Davis Love III, of course, was involved with that. So talk about that. First off, what were some of the things that you guys did in the renovations? What was happening? Give us kind of an overview.
Sure. Just kind of give you like a quick kind of overview of kind of how we got there. We had an opportunity, come up that Belmont and Henrico County was owned it as a municipal golf course, and we're looking for a third party to come in and run it and run the day-to-day. And for first tee, this was a property that didn't have a driving range or really any like good practice facilities. And for us and our curriculum and our programming, certainly was going to make it a little bit more difficult to do some of the fun games and activities that we certainly do with our kids. And so, with the help of certainly some key donors in this project, and certainly with a little imagination, our team, our CEO Brent Snyder, and some of our board members put together a request for proposal where we were kind of looking at doing something a little bit different, looking at the future of golf. And with that, we took an 18-hole Tillinghast golf course, and the Davis Love Design Group were able to restore, 12 of those holes. So holes, original holes 7 through 18 are now 1 through 12 on our championship. We were able to add a 6-hole par 3 course using some of the templates from Tillinghast and some of the other great golf properties that he's done over the years. And then also added a really nice driving range, a wedge range, and a really, really nice practice facility to really help each person find their connection to golf. And I think we see that a lot, as we talked about fun a little while ago. For some people, playing on, we have an 18-hole putting course. For some people, putt-putt is kind of their entry to golf.
Sure.
And for us, we want to be able to provide a welcoming and fun environment for every person, whether you're a really low handicapper or just somebody that's looking out to have a good time with your family. And Belmont is certainly going to be that place here for the foreseeable future.
Well, and that's so important too. Just to touch on the point you just made, you want to be adaptive to everybody's needs. I mean, everybody's different. Some people like to get out there on the range and they like to see how far they can hit it. But some people just like to putt on the green and work on that part of their game, or just that's something that's fun to them. And again, it goes back to that word fun. You want to make it an enjoyable experience for all levels. And it sounds with these renovations, that's exactly what you're accomplishing. And kudos to, the staff at the first tee in Greater Richmond, but also to Davis Love III and his group for helping to bring that to realization. And it's so important. I think that when you have the right atmosphere, it makes the whole learning experience that much better for everybody all the way around, both from the teaching side, but also from the student side, if you will, when they're learning these different programs, if they're in the right environment. So kudos to all the way around.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're really grateful to Scott Sherman and Davis Love and Mark Love for their hard work. And then certainly, with my team here at Belmont, our maintenance crew, our superintendent, Dan Savannah, our VP of golf, Mark Lynch, those guys have done an incredible job building a team that, buys into that culture and supports the vision that we have.
Yeah, and it's so important because, again, it is a team effort. It's everybody sort of pitches in and does their part, and when it's all sort of all oars are rowing in the same direction in the boat, then it's obviously a much smoother and enjoyable journey. I want to bring something that I want you to, and again, you don't have to get into great detail on each point, but maybe you can talk about some of them. First tee, for those that maybe are not as familiar with this program, I'm talking particularly to some of the parents out there that may have children that have expressed an interest in golf, and maybe this is something that you've considered. The first tee programs have 9 core values, which I think are great. Maybe you can touch on a little bit, some of them, all of them, whatever, and why you feel and why they've been so successful as part of the curriculum first tee.
Sure, and I think, for those that aren't familiar with First Tee, it's certainly a great nonprofit organization. There's probably one, in a city either that you're in now or nearby. And, we do a great job of certainly teaching life skills and healthy habits and empowering young people using the game of golf to do that. And, the core values are certainly a big part of that as we look at, integrity as an example. Golf's one of the few sports where you're calling penalties on yourself for having to keep your own score, and so keeping people honest. Judgment, certainly another great core value. And so I think as we look at, all of those core values, we do our best through kind of different games and activities where they're learning, things like how to introduce themselves properly, looking people in the eye, shaking their hand. I just really love seeing like the confidence that once, you see our kids progress through the different levels of First Tee, just how far they come. And for me, operating now 3 First Tee facilities here in the greater Richmond area, I find that our First Tee participants turn out to be some of our best employees as well. So we love having them around, not just in our classes, but, they love, also coming in and maybe this is their first job as well. So, through those core values, we're able to instill a lot of character and things like that with them that they can take with them, whether they go to college or in those next endeavors beyond our programs.
Yep. And well said, by the way. 2020 obviously was very difficult for a lot of folks, and it still has been for many at this point as we sort of transition and try to get back to some sort of a normalcy. Golf, obviously, as I think we all know, really got a booster shot in the arm just because people were, stuck inside for a long period of time in many cases, and, we're looking for something to get out and do. So there's been a real surgence in interest. But in 2020, obviously, it was very difficult to do some of the programs because of social distancing and so forth. But you guys are coming out in 2021 as things have opened up a little bit more with some great spring and summer programs. Talk a little bit about some of those and what, from a parent's perspective, what their children can expect to be a part of if they choose to come out and participate.
Sure. I mean, especially for those just looking for activities for their kids. I know our chapter offers, First Tee summer camps with over about an 8-week period. And we do that at all 3 of our locations here in the greater Richmond area. Some parents, will enroll their kids in multiple weeks of camp. Some, kind of pick one and maybe do some other sports, mix it in there. We also do our life skills experience classes as well, which during the summertime, which, for some of our kids, whether they're doing other extracurricular school activities or things like that, they can't always do all of our First Tee program throughout the school year. So the summer kind of allows them time to be able to catch up and be a part of it and certainly integrate with our coaches. And so, if you're looking for something fun for your kids to do this summer, I would highly recommend any type of First Tee activity, whether that's summer camp or classes at a local golf course that has a First Tee program for sure.
Yeah, and there's also just some of the other things very quickly I want to mention. The PGA Junior League as well is another one, and one of my favorites is the LPGA USGA Girls Golf Program. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that, because that's been a very successful program for a lot of folks that participate in that. Maybe you could touch on a little bit about that so that,
Sure.
Maybe somebody that has a young daughter that maybe would like to be a part of that, maybe give, again, an overview of what that program is about.
Yeah, we found with PGA Junior League, it's a great way for our junior golfers to get some competitive golf in them. And so, we do a lot of kind of internal matches to build confidence, using a lot of like the, maybe OP36 concepts where they might start at, 25 yards, and try to make par from there before moving back to 50 yards. And, we certainly have found that, PGA Junior League is just a great kind of team environment where golf is such a, individual sport most of the time. It allows them to kind of be around kids their age, competing, in golf, and it goes back to that word fun. It just keeps it a little bit more fun when it's something you're doing with your friends. And then, same thing with our LPGA USGA Girls Golf Program. I mean, I love seeing our girls out there doing a variety of activities, whether that's they just did a watch party for the Pure Silk Championship that was in Williamsburg not too long ago. And so just different activities that we do to bring the young ladies in our First Tee programs together to, have kind of that social interaction, but also, being able to share that passion for golf and get out there and play is always, just a great experience, not only for the girls, but coaches as well. I know, some of those LPGA events are some of my favorites that I look forward to as well. And then for, maybe some of the moms or people out there, with Women's Golf Day being today, I've got a scramble event going on at our Tattersall Youth Development Center over in Chesterfield, and I've got about 12 ladies from the LPGA amateur group coming out doing a little scramble. We've been spending the last 6 weeks doing some introductory to golf clinics, and today we're going to get out on the course and test out our skills that we've all learned. So it's just a great opportunity across the board, not just to the LPGA USGA Girls Golf Program, but also the LPGA Amateurs, which is also a great connector to the game as well.
Yeah, and thank you for mentioning, because I was actually going to mention that very same thing. Today is, of course, June 1st is Women's Golf Day, and that has been a very successful. It's in, I think, its sixth year since its inception. And what's really great is it's in now over 90 countries around the world. Thousands of not only courses but organizations participate in that, and women's golf in general has really, not just at the tour level, but at the youth level as well. I mean, last year, just to give you an example, I'm not sure if you follow any of the numbers, but they had close to 500,000 young girls get into the game in 2020 during the middle of a pandemic. So it just shows you that there's an appetite for young women to be a part of this game. And these programs that you've just touched on are a great stepping stone to get young girls particularly interested in a game that, whether they have aspirations of ever being on the LPGA Tour or some other mini tour or what have you, it's just a great way to introduce them to something that really, as you know, Kelly, becomes a game of a lifetime. And I think it's just great that you guys – yeah. And, just on a side note, you mentioned earlier on, about not being able to play and what as much. I never really realized I'm a teaching professional as well, and what was always interesting to me is I thought, great, I'm going to be a golf professional, I'm going to play lots of golf, but unfortunately, when you actually get in the profession, you get so busy, doing lessons and doing corporate events and so on and so forth that you don't have any time for your own game anymore. So I'm like, well, what's up with that? I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
I'm looking forward, now that Belmont just opened this past weekend, I'm looking forward to working on my game some and maybe playing in a few Virginia State Golf Association events here soon. But it's certainly been an exciting time, especially for women in golf. And I think, for me, I started playing golf when I was 8. So, I sometimes take it for granted where there's, some people that, don't know where to check in or don't, exactly know what to do when you get to the golf course. And so I've been really, proud of our First Tee chapter and how we use our facilities to be that kind of welcoming, judgment-free, almost educator of the game to help, continue us to grow and do our part to share this wonderful game with so many people.
Yeah, exactly. And just on a side note too, and again, if you want to mention just a generalization, but in addition to the 9 core values that are offered through First Tee, you also have 9 healthy habits as well. Maybe you could touch on a couple of those and just explain what we mean by that. It's not just all about nutrition.
Sure, no, and I think with, Annika Sorenstam certainly developed those, I believe, with First Tee. And as we, we look at healthy habits, it's not just necessarily like nutrition, but it's also like, the mental aspect of the game.
Yep.
All those different things kind of factor into it. And so, we want to make sure that we're providing certainly, safe and healthy environments where we program, and those healthy habits we try to instill, whether that's, simple things like, hydrating and making sure you're drinking plenty of water, especially as we start getting into summer. It's getting kind of hot out there. And sometimes we can relate those healthy habits back to our, core values of, back to judgment. If you don't bring water out there, you're going to be a little bit thirsty. Making sure that you're doing the right thing. And sometimes they tie together nicely. But, they all, oh, go ahead.
Yeah. And just on a side note, Virginia does get hot in the summer. So, you want to have some water handy while you're on the golf course. It's just something that, we overlook. But, it's so great because I love a lot of these programs, and I'd like to even see more. I'd love to see golf, and I'm not sure how we as an industry have to go about it. But I'd even like to see them become more entrenched in our general school systems because, like so many other sports, that they have access. Golf is one, and again, it's a little bit differently logistically and so forth. But I think there's ways that we can creatively come up with to get kids interested at a younger age and get them out to programs like what you're offering at First Tee in Greater Richmond. But just to sort of hit that spark, if you will, because a lot of people, unless they're introduced to something at a very early age, later on in life, they're not as apt to take it up because haven't been exposed to it. So I think the earlier that we get, and just any of you listening to the show right now, if you can hear in the background, you can hear some birds chirping and that. That's one of the other great things about being out in a golf course is you get a little bit of nature with you as well, unlike so many other sports that are in a stadium or whatnot. So there you go. See, even the birds are happy today.
Absolutely. Well, and I think for me, it's a really nice day out here today, actually, and back to, with those healthy habits, it's, not just about like the physical and nutrition, but, so much of that too is the social and emotional piece of it as well, where, being outside, I just, it's not super hot out. It's, it's just nice to be out and see a bunch of people out here enjoying the game. And certainly the social aspect helps when you can find, kids your age that also are doing the similar activities or, your friends in the neighborhood that all want to maybe do the same summer camp. It's always just great ways to bring people together. And we're looking forward to Belmont continuing that tradition of us kind of bringing that community together and providing a fun and inclusive place for people to do that. Yeah,
and again, I'm a firm believer the earlier that you start somebody in something like this, a First Tee program, and you guys obviously have a great one there in Richmond, expose them to something that they can do for a lifetime. And as you kind of pointed or alluded to very early on in the conversation, is really there's so many life lessons that can be learned through the game of golf that people don't really realize until they actually get into it and understand a little bit. And, and they sort of cross over. Life and golf can kind of cross over. There's a lot of things that you learn out in regular life that can actually, believe it or not, help you out in the golf course. And vice versa. So it's just it's a great game. It's a lot of fun, and it's something that you can do, obviously, when we get into our golden years, they say, which I'm fast approaching, by the way. But it's something that you can do, unlike many other sports and games out there that are a little bit more physically demanding. Not that golf can't be at times, but it's not a high-impact sport like a baseball or football or soccer or some of these other sports or tennis. It's something that you can do much later in life and still have some enjoyment and fun. So, Kelly, where can the folks, if they're going to be up in your area or currently in your area, where can they go to get more information on some of the programs and things that you're offering?
Certainly. If you're interested in our programs, you can go to our website, which is firstteerva.org. And then certainly, for those interested in Belmont and the work that we've done there, that website is playbelmontrva.org, and would love to see you guys out here.
Well, perfect. Well, Kelly, I want to thank you, and my apologies that Cindy was not able to join us today. I know that you probably were looking forward to having her here, but she's out raising money for a local hospital up in her area up in Buffalo, New York, through golf, of course. That's one of the other great things is so many charities benefit from all of the hard work that many professionals like Cindy Miller do in the golf industry. So she sends her apologies that she wasn't able to make it, but we'll have you back on again and we'll talk more golf, and next time I'll make sure she's here. But I appreciate you. I appreciate you.
And send me some information if I can donate to it.
Will do. It's just again, just epitomizes what golf has done for so many organizations around. And I know you guys do a lot of great work through the First Tee up in your area as well, and working together with so many local organizations and things. But Kelly, I want to thank you very much for coming on and sharing a little bit about the First Tee at Richmond, Virginia. And again, go to the websites if you want to get more information. If you're interested in having your children participate or learning more about some of the programs that are available, it might be a great option to get them involved this summer. But Kelly, thank you very much for joining me this morning here on the Women of Golf.
Ted, thank you so much for having me, and happy National Women's Golf Day.
All right, I appreciate it. All right, Kelly, thank you.
All right, have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye. Yeah, and just a reminder, as she pointed out, today is National Women's Golf Day, actually International Women's Golf Day, and organizations all over, not just the United States, but around the world, many venues, tournament venues are participating in this event. It's a great way for women to get out and play golf, and it also is available at the PGA Superstores. You can go in there, and they've got various different things happening there. So you can visit your local PGA Superstore, which I believe there is 40 plus here in the United States. But literally many golf courses, many large organizations as well are participating. So get out there and support. And if you think, well, hey, I'm not a very good golfer, that's okay. It's just get out there and have some fun and enjoy and participate in something. And like so many of us, once you kind of get bitten by the golf bug, it's a game you won't want to give up. So it might be challenging, but it'll be well worth it in the long run. All right. I appreciate you joining us this morning here on the Women of Golf. And Cindy and I will be back next week with another great guest and some other interesting discussions we hope that you'll enjoy. But on behalf of Cindy Miller, I'm Ted Odorico. Thank you for joining us this morning on Women of Golf. God bless everybody and have a great week.
Thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoyed listening to this week's Women of Golf show. Ted and Cindy wish to thank this week's special guests. Remember to join them every Tuesday from 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern here on the iGolf Sports Network or on any of these social media platforms, iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, CastBox, TalkStream Live, and of course Spotify. To get updates on the show, you can follow the Women of Golf Facebook page at www.facebook.com/Women of Golf. This has been a production of the iGolf Sports Network.